All right, we've come to it. The last full presentation of the day. Very excited to introduce Felicity Pharma. We're going to be welcoming Olivia Mannix, founder and CEO of Felicity Pharma, and Jacqueline Bennett, a partner of Highlands Venture Partners. Please welcome them to the stage.
All right. Thanks so much. Wow, it's bright. So bright up here. Good afternoon, evening. So are we the ones that stand between drinks? It's just our conversation? Okay, we'll keep it snappy. So I'm Jacqueline Bennett. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Highlands Venture Partners, which is a investment and advisory firm focused on investing in women and minority-led or focused businesses, and also the chief growth officer of Commons, which is a peer-to-peer natural wellness brand. My founder and partner is in the crowd over there. Also looking to democratize access to plant-based products and create inclusion for minority and underrepresented demographics. So when I was offered the opportunity to speak with Olivia, it was an absolute yes, because what she's looking to do and what she is doing with Felicity Pharma is incredibly exciting. I also call it disrupting the normalization of women's pain and suffering is one way of putting it. So Olivia, hello.
Hello.
And it's nice to see you. I'm excited to learn about Felicity Pharma and for you to share it with the audience. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for everyone for joining as well. So my background, I actually started one of the first ancillary cannabis companies back in 2013 called Cannabrand out of Denver, Colorado. Our mission has been to destigmatize and legalize cannabis and change the perception of cannabis consumers. I was profiled in the New York Times in 2014 saying, we're weeding out the stoners. We want to show the world that normal people consume cannabis, and you know, here we are today all together. I was told I would never get a real job ever again if I worked in the cannabis space. So it's pretty funny to see, you know, how far we've came. I pivoted into the psychedelic sector in 2020. And at that time, I met my now business partner, Dr. Gigi Koo. And we formed a psychedelics company, a biotech company focused on women's health and mood disorders. We're looking at 3 indications. PMDD, PPD, and hypersexual dysfunction disorder, which are major issues. And actually, women's health is majorly underserved and underrepresented in the marketplace. So we're really excited to be doing this.
Yeah, and we're excited that you're doing it and thankful that you're doing it. I think I mentioned in our early conversations, my mother was a psychiatric nurse throughout her career, so for 50 years, working in psychiatric therapies and treatments. And so it was really interesting to observe the lack of innovation happening around different therapies and treatments. And then the more that I've become exposed to the, I guess, mental illness, the treatments available, the psychedelics renaissance, and the continued neglect of female-focused solutions and technologies. Thrilled that Felicity Pharma has been founded, and really happy to help share some of this with the audience today.
Yeah.
So I think a question that I'm interested to learn the answer to is, how did you narrow down the focus of Felicity Pharma?
Sure. So there's really no companies that are focused on women's health, specifically in biotech and in the psychedelic sector. So we found that psychedelics paired with women's hormonal systems actually can create solutions for these ailments. So we're going to be able to go straight to phase 2A with a approved proprietary drug. So we're really, excited to be going in that direction, and there's a lot of innovation happening behind it, and really an amazing team. Our chief medical officer is Dr. Andrew Sach. He was the CMO for GW Pharma. As you know, they exited to Jazz for north of $6 billion. They had the first CBD approved drug with FDA. So we're following suit with that industry or with that company, and we're super excited.
So, and isn't it, my understanding is the limitation or the lack of, in clinical trials, generally speaking, women are often excluded
Yes.
because apparently we have hormones and cycles and things along those lines.
Yeah.
So does that, I guess the volatility that we are told is created, how do you mitigate that in your clinical trials, or how do you address that?
Sure. So we're working just with women for these indications, and I mean, it's been crazy that like women are still actually minorities. Like you wouldn't even think of that, but they've been so underrepresented in trials and just with drugs in general. Like so, for instance, for depression, mostly men are used for these trials because they have they don't have as many biological factors. So we're really focusing on creating drugs for women, specifically disrupting the SSRI space, which there's been just Prozac that's been developed 30 years ago. So it's a huge opportunity for psychedelics to get into biotech, to get into the sector and really niche the space.
Do you have a lot of peers out there, other female-founded, women-focused biotech or psychedelic companies that you're aware of?
Not really. There's not that many. So we have a drug ready to go. We're ready to go to phase 2A trials, and we're just closing out our funding here and ready to ramp it up.
So if any investors in the room, then this is who you want to get behind. We definitely need more female-led businesses, but also those focused on advancing the R&D and psychedelic emergence of therapies for women. That's really exciting.
Yeah, what's your portfolio look like these days?
We are pretty good, I would say. I think the range of assets in the portfolio. We actually have one biotech investment, an Israeli-founded company, and then Commons, who now I'm a part of, was an early investment as well. And I think the theme there, female-founded, but also what we really care about is the mission of the company, and obviously checking the boxes of product market fit and all those good things that allow for a company to succeed. But really, what is the purpose behind the team? What's their why? And then how do we sort of help them execute upon their strategy? As we're sort of more active investors than passive. So for Felicity Pharma, I think the learning, sort of the science behind what you're doing is probably interesting for a firm like ours, for example, where we don't have that background, but would have to tap into expertise to really truly understand the complexities. But I think the importance of what you're building is really compelling.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it without my team and just how far the industry has come as it is, and the leaders like Compass, Atai, and MAPS really paving the way. So we're thrilled to be there.
Good. Yeah. And so what stage is the company at now?
So right now we're raising our seed round, 2.5 million with a 5 million pre-money valuation. And our monetization to exit strategy is to be a pipeline to pharma. So for pharma, spending anywhere from $100 million to $400 million is easy. Like they're low debt. They're looking for drugs to put into their pipeline. So that's number one. Number two would be to actually build up the company. It could take at least 10 years to actually get a drug approved all the way through the trials to the FDA. And then number three is to go public. So those are some options that we're considering.
What's the timeline for those clinical trials? What do you anticipate?
So the clinical trials, so for us, we're going to be doing phase 2A, as I mentioned. That will take about a year. And what we're looking for is a signal for proof of concept for our proprietary drug to work with the indications. And then for actually going all the way through the FDA, it's going to take around 7 to 10 years.
So if we fast forward to those 7 to 10 years, what's the vision for the application, and what's the population that's going to be using the drug?
Sure. So at first we'll have to do a PAP, so a psychoactive therapy where you take a macro dose, 25 milligrams of the drug candidate we're working with, and just go through like a 6 to 8 hour journey with the psychotherapist. So that will be the first trial part. But our end-all game would be to have, or the second generation would be to actually have an at-home pill So similar to, you know, a birth control or something that's paired with another known drug. So something that would be on the market that way. So someone could take it at home and they wouldn't have to go through the PAP. And then also the beauty of telehealth these days is that people can really interact with physicians online or psychologists, what have you. So, you know, really having a brand name on the market that people know would be great. And actually, speaking of knowing, Gigi and I and the company have been reached out to by several different PMDD associations, societies. You know, there are all these people, women, that are looking for solutions and just want help, and they want just products on the market because, again, there's really nothing. The only approved drug for PPD is a company called Zola Reso. It's a 60-hour IV infusion where you know, after the birth of the child, you think you'd be so happy, but you have to go to the hospital and take this IV for 60 hours at a time. So like, there's really no medicine to help with these ailments.
I think when in our first conversation, you told me some statistic that I found alarming around the number of women who suffer some type of, is it menstrual depression or what's the?
Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD.
That was it.
So it's 15% of women, and it's an extreme form of PMS. So some women even have suicidal thoughts. Actually, 30% of patients have, you know, attempted suicide. It's a serious issue, and it's also like a very severe depression, a very severe anxiety, and also has physiological implications as well, such as headaches or gastrointestinal issues as well. So it's a major issue, and actually I really didn't even know that much about it until I got into the space. And it's just, all these conditions are just very underrepresented and just not even talked about. So we've got to start talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's again, why I'm so thrilled to hear that Felicity Pharma exists, because of the normalization of the pain and just the ailments and conditions a lot of women live with. It's quite alarming. I feel fortunate that I haven't suffered that much as an individual, but it's just, I mean, for just a side note on the brand that I work for, one of the groups we're partnering with actually is a major women's football league, and really interesting to start learning around the, you know, playing such an extreme sport as a female, when you are, you know, not sort of going through your monthly cycles, but also just the responsibilities of that sort of individual in their ecosystems, generally speaking. Obviously there's different cases, and really not having any type of customized or targeted drugs or treatments or whatever that are healthy and sustainable to incorporate, sort of mitigate, manage, and regulate those, just the day-to-day. The absence of it's really alarming. So again, I think any effort that's going towards trying to solve some of these challenges that have been normalized, which almost makes it more challenging.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot that can be unlocked through the likes of your drug.
Yes, absolutely.
So is the idea, just going back to the drug specifically, is it something that will be episodic, or is it something that will be introduced into to take sort of on a regular basis?
Yeah, so it would be a regular basis type of a situation, because, you know, instead of taking an SSRI every day, you would be taking the psychedelic drug. So.
What does everyone know what an SSRI is? Is it just me? Just kidding.
It's a serotonin uptake inhibitor drug, so it like helps with the reuptake. So basically, it's for depression. So it helps with mitigating the low serotonin levels, and that's why people are depressed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. So for the team who's here today, Gigi, who I just met.
Yes.
And her background's pretty interesting. They've been in the psychedelic space for a while, her and her husband.
Yeah, so
So are you finding that you're collaborating with others in the psychedelic community? Has it been a helpful community to sort of?
Definitely, yeah. I'm so, you know, privileged and honored to be able to work with Gigi, and then her husband Jim's actually an advisor on the team, and then also our COO is a former COO of Trip. therapeutics. He's a chemist. He has a lot of experience bringing drugs to market as well. So yeah, the team that I'm surrounded by is incredible. And then, just the industry as a whole, our partners, the people that are helping us with providing the drugs and just the network's been really great and super exciting. So, yeah.
And your background prior to this was in really marketing, PR. Is
Yes.
that helpful to sort of get the word out there, or at least achieve your endeavor?
Definitely. So first of all, you have to be able to speak in front of people and speak to media and really talk about your business and keep your stock price high. So that's definitely something that I'm open to doing, networking, love to meet people and talk about what we're doing. So it's all
Brilliant.
good. Yeah.
I guess any questions from the audience?
Let's all give them a round of applause first and foremost.
All right.
Fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, ladies. Fantastic. Any questions from the audience before we wrap this fantastic day of Psychedelics Conference up? Content. That was the C word I was looking for. No? Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Give them one more round of applause, Jacqueline and Olivia.